Thanks for joining me on this video. I appreciate your time's important, so let's jump straight in to why we're here and what we're going to learn today. So first things first, it's 4 proven retargeting tactics you can implement today, including a genuinely game-changing strategy that I doubt you've ever heard of, how these tactics extend the life of your advertising, reduce your upfront costs by marketing to familiar audiences, greatly increase your chance of converting, and stop leaving sales to chance. Also, as my cast iron promise to you is that there will be no sales pitch. This is purely informational. Unabridged content to help you get more sales through your advertising and remarketing efforts. So, you might be thinking, what qualifies me to tell you all this stuff? So, who is Ed Leake? Well, that's me. I'm 34 years of age. I live with my girlfriend and our 2 rabbits, Hubert and Esme, in a little town called Melton Mowbray in Leicestershire, the UK, heart of the UK. It's a small town famed for its pork pies. Google it. I've been running a digital agency now for over 6 years, and we're still in business, so I assume we're doing something right. I've grown the agency by 100% every year, at least, in terms of revenue, and the target is heading towards 200% growth in this coming year. And we manage and are trusted with millions of pounds and or dollars in ad spend, and the tactics that I talk about today are deployed and are working in the field. These are live, that we experience for ourselves. So like I said, your time's important. So who's this video for? This is not a step-by-step or how to install and set up tracking codes guide. At this point, I'm going to assume you either know how to do it, or you have someone that can do it for you, or you're able to Google it. This is not easy street or get rich quick nonsense. This is for serious people who operate in the real world. Sorry if that offends you, but I don't do any of the internet guru bullshine, get rich and make millions overnight nonsense. You do need an ad budget to implement these tactics because it's online advertising. So this is for business owners and marketing managers who have a budget to spend, because you can't retarget without money. I can't guarantee you'll experience the exact same results, of course, no one can, and it's only fair that I tell you that you might experience the same results, worse, or even better. So every business is different, and that's why there's always room for testing, analysis, optimization, and that goes for both in business and marketing, to be honest. So just so we're on the same page, when I talk about conversions today, I typically mean any of the following things happening. A lead, so someone completes a form, for example, a call, they pick up the phone, or a sale, so an actual monetary transaction. Right, onwards. The 98% problem. So what is the 98% problem, and are you part of it? That is, a lot of people merely focus on getting traffic to their website. They spend a lot of time and a lot of money doing so. The problem is that the average conversion rate, i.e. the number of people taking action on your website, is actually around 2%, or 2 in every 100 visitors, or more dramatically, a mere 200 in every 10,000. You shouldn't be able to sleep easy at night knowing this. You're probably aware of your own website stats, and so it's a familiar story. The vast majority of your website visitors simply don't convert on their first visit. But that's okay, that's normal. However, don't be conned into thinking those 98% that got away were necessarily your customers. So the statistics body, aptly named Statistica, conducted a large survey on this conundrum and found 37% of people were just browsing. The fact is, returning visitors spend more and convert more. With only a small percentage of people buying on the first touch and a good third window shopping, that still leaves around 60% of visitors in some stage of the buying zone. So in other words, they're still shopping around. This is where remarketing and retargeting come into play. And when it comes to retargeting, there are lots of platforms and tools available, such as Perfect Audience, Criteo, and AdRoll. But for the purpose of today's video, I'm going to be discussing remarketing and retargeting on the big two, i.e. Google AdWords and Facebook advertising. So does it actually work? Well, you bet it does. A study looking at the average lift in search activity for advertised brand found that retargeting created the highest lift in brand search by over 1,000%. There's also plenty of evidence to show that retargeting has a positive impact on branded organic search. The free traffic, that's pretty good. Incredibly, only 1 in 5 marketers has a dedicated retargeting budget. And that's great news for you and I, because it means there's an 80% chance that your competitors aren't doing it. There's even a psychological principle called the mere exposure effect, which states that we prefer things that we're familiar with. It's on Wikipedia, so it must be true. Now, admittedly, there's a glut of negative press around the increased use of ad blockers, which stop some, but not all, retargeting adverts from displaying. With that said, 30% of consumers have a positive or very positive reaction to retargeted ads, versus only around 11% who feel negatively about them. The way I look at it, if someone doesn't want to see your ad, they weren't your customer in the first place. So let them block you. It removes them from your retargeting pool, which is good housekeeping and will save you money in the long run. So very quickly, the difference between remarketing and retargeting, here's where some confusion creeps in over the two terms. The biggest difference between retargeting and remarketing is the strategy that's used to reach potential customers who left your website without taking action. So remarketing is typically re-engaging customers with email or direct mail, whereas retargeting is typically following people around the web in an effort to attract them back to your site to complete their inquiry or purchase. Unless that is, you're Google. In which case, remarketing, not retargeting, is showing search and display ads to past visitors, and this includes video ads and Gmail ads too. So to avoid any confusion going forwards, let's just talk about the tactics and not the definitions, and I'm going to call them retargeting from now on. So retargeting works by dropping a cookie on a visitor's browser, their web browser. It's a little piece of code on your website that triggers this event, and Facebook calls it a pixel, Google calls it a tracking code, but either way, it's a cookie, a little digital footprint. So really simple outline. Someone visits your website, they get cookied by the tracking code. They leave your site without taking any action or your desired action, for example, picking up the phone or filling out a form or purchasing an item, and they can continue browsing around the web. Your ads are then displayed to them on other websites. The ad intends to draw people back to your website, of course, where they are more likely to complete the desired action, as supported by the plethora of statistics that we just rattled through. And a little bonus is that retargeting is, or it can be, cheaper per click than going to cold traffic. So let's crack on with the meat in this sandwich, the 4 proven retargeting tactics. And number 1, it's your best visitors or your busiest browsers. What that means is you shouldn't be retargeting everyone. So it's a common mistake that people make. They install the tracking codes and they run ads. Well, that's one way to annoy people and burn through your advertising budget. The goal of retargeting is not just to cookie everyone that visits your website. The size of your retargeting audience isn't necessarily the end goal. We've already established that return visitors convert higher, and that's also true of people who browse for longer too. Now here's some examples that I've pulled from analytics, and it should become quickly apparent how important this is. Okay, so the first one is a retailer, and these are segmented snapshots of analytics. So the blue bars are people who have visited for up to 2 minutes. The orange is 2 to 4 minutes, and green graphs, not bars, should I say, are 4 minutes and plus. So as you can see, for this technology retailer, there's a significant step up here in terms of conversion rate, in terms of total transactions, in terms of revenue and average order size. But you should be able to see quite quickly in the conversion rate from 0.8%, which is miserable, with people who are visiting up to 2 minutes, and then people who are on the website browsing around for 4 minutes or more, the conversion rate rockets to 5.28%. And with it, the average order size is actually an extra £48 or thereabouts. And next we have another retailer, and it's a similar sort of story here, but it's even more dramatic. The difference in conversion rate from people who just browse around for less than 2 minutes to those who browse 4 minutes and beyond is significant. So it's 1.1% up, and then nearly 14% conversion rate for the 4-minute browsers. And another retailer of sorts, this is online travel bookings, again a dramatic difference, a paltry, an awful 0.175% conversion rate for 2 minutes and less browsers, and those busy browsers of 4 minutes and beyond are a considerably greater 8.84%. And as you can see from the average orders and the revenue volumes, there's a significant difference there. And now you might be thinking, oh, so it only works for retailers. That's not true. Here's a couple of here's a B2B example. So this is a service-based business, not ours. It's actually a client, and you can clearly see there's a significant jump in conversion rate. This one's slightly different actually, in that the 2 to 4 minute browsers are significantly higher than the up to 2 minute browsing window, and it's actually higher than people who spend 4 minutes or so on the website. It just goes to show that there's not always a strict pattern to this. But back to reality, back to normality, should I say. So this is an event hire company, B2C, but it's not e-commerce. These are phone inquiries and form completions. And I mean, this one's ridiculous. These go from 0.6% conversion rate, and the people who browse the longest, not only are they the vast majority of goal completions, i.e. conversions, but they convert at a staggering 31.85%. So it might sound simple. People who are browsing longer convert higher, but sometimes the simple ideas are the best, and ironically the ones that are often avoided. Our largest time on site segment used to be 5 minutes, but we actually found that the 4 minutes is more of a sweet spot. Of course, you should test a few different time segments on your own data to find your ideal time range. It's all well and good knowing the audience segment, but now you've got to tempt them back with a slick advert or a value proposition, or even an offer. I would avoid going straight for discount codes. Yes, it can work, but it's tired and just cuts into your bottom line. So most remarketing books would harp on about features and benefits in your advertising. But actually, we found emotional triggers, i.e. problems, not just solutions, can work even better. So here's some example Facebook remarketing ads. And one I've just put together to illustrate the point. I'm not affiliated with this company Jabra. I saw their product and it gave me an idea. So this ad is playing on the perception that spending more on exercise equipment or training gear is a shortcut to better performance, when in reality you discover when you've bought this stuff it actually has a negligible effect on your performance. So combined with a striking and contextual image, it's an ad that draws you in because it's got the emotional trigger. Here's another example I've found. So from GoDaddy, aside from the lack of punctuation, which is a bit annoying, GoDaddy have used a striking image with an inspiring text play. They could have rattled on about how or what their service offers, but instead they've opted for the emotional hook, the motivation to inspire their target audience into action instead of self-doubt. I quite like that one. Here's Capital One, who are being cheeky. is a polite way of putting it. So they're playing to the consumer culture by teasing and tempting you in. So there's no harm in looking in inverted commas there. There's no mention of features or product-specific information anywhere. And finally, just for a little fun and a lack of supporting text, if you notice, Slack, which is like an online communication software, if you haven't heard of it, they're doing a good job here with a strong emotional trigger, one that we know and can only feel great about and relate to, unless you're a narcissist. So hopefully you get the idea of emotions are more powerful than features, and these examples are giving you some inspiration for your own retargeting ads. Before I move on, I know I said no discounts, but there's a but. I know I said don't go straight for a discount, but there's a few exceptions for online store owners in particular. If you don't currently offer free shipping, for example, you could absorb it into your costs by retargeting people with free delivery, or offer free delivery at a total basket value above your average order size. That way, the modest discount doesn't hurt your bottom line, but it invites people back to purchase, because high levels of shopping cart abandonment are often attributed to the shock, as they call it, of the shipping costs. And finally, you can do the same thing with the discount on total order value. So if you did want to give a percentage off, make sure it's on total order value above your average order value, so your bottom line doesn't get etched away. Okay, if you implement just one of these tactics that I'm going through today, then let it be this one, because it's so simple and it's the lowest hanging fruit of them all. Life happens, people get distracted, and they don't complete the transaction. And when I say transaction, it doesn't have to be a monetary sale. It can be informational transactions, such as sending an inquiry through your website. You'd probably be shocked at how many people hit your inquiry or checkout page but didn't convert. In this example I've got on screen now, 6,143 people this month alone have walked away from the checkout on this website. Not just from the site itself, not even from the basket, but from the actual checkout process, where they should have been finishing their purchase. Now, that's nearly half of all people who started the checkout left the website. The typical approach is to retarget these people with the item that they had in their basket before. You may have heard of cart abandonment emails. Now, this can work, and unless you had a checkout technical difficulty, is usually ROI positive, so return on investment positive. But you might also consider that they could have abandoned their cart because the product wasn't quite right for them. In which case, try a related cross or upsell instead. So in your remarketing, you could do a related product or service, because they might have missed this alternative on the first visit to your website, and it may prove more appropriate to them now. Secondly, a cross-sell. You can add value to their purchase, such as bundling a rechargeable battery with a portable electronic device, or something relevant to help entice and fulfill the order. Perhaps a carry case for a camera that they had in their basket, or a bigger and better value memory card to go with that camera. Sometimes missing the supporting items is sufficient enough to deter a sale. And finally, an upsell is offering a better, more expensive item, because you have to remember, not everyone is shopping around for the cheapest. So don't just assume people want to spend less. In fact, the three options above are not about discounting at all. This simple retargeting tactic is something I don't see people doing often enough, and with a little consideration can be both simple to implement and cost effective at raising your conversion rates. Now, an important tip is to keep this audience fresh by targeting only the very recent site visitors. So select the date range that suits your business, and you can get a good idea of this by analysing your time lag to conversion data in your analytics. I would definitely recommend running tests against short periods of time, such as a few days up to a week. Okay, number 3, the lazy advertiser's dream. So excuse the acronyms. If you're not familiar with them, they're Google terms. So RLSA is remarketing lists for search, and DSA being dynamic search ads. RLSA creates the list of people that already know about you, i.e. the ones that have visited your website and triggered your tracking code, where DSA dynamically targets your ads to people searching for your thing. If you've ever read about, looked at or worked on an AdWords or Bing ad account, you'll know that keywords are central to their operation. DSA works quite simply by doing away with keywords. Instead, dynamic search ads use content from your website to target your ads to relevant searches, which is very clever. To do so, Google uses the organic search index of your website to determine which searches might be relevant to your product or service, which throws a big caveat your way. If you have a poorly optimized website, then DSA is less effective. Now, by poorly optimized, I mean you've not got your basics right, such as page title, meta tags, breadcrumbs, page content, and page hierarchy. If your content changes daily or weekly, that too can cause an issue because of the latency in indexing your pages on Google search. But let's assume for now you've maintained your website to an agreeable modern standard. So let's also consider that 15% of searches on Google are unique and have never been searched for before. So think about that for a second. DSA means that you don't have to do any keyword research or second guess the search terms people are currently or will in the future be using. Instead, you let Google do all the hard work. So it sounds too good to be true, right? Yes, because DSA on its own can be less effective because your website impacts the performance. It's absolutely not designed to be a shortcut to managing your ad account properly, and is often used for big inventories, i.e. those businesses with large ranges of products and or pages. So why am I telling you about DSA if there are hurdles in the way? Because we use it in a little bit of a different way. Combine it with RLSA, the remarketing lists, the usual rules need not apply. Using RLSA means you can cut straight through to those people who already know you but have yet to commit. And then DSA fills in every blank to suit the specific audience, and all of a sudden we kind of do have a lazy autopilot button. So getting RLSA and DSA campaigns to work requires a few specific rules. The first one being you need to populate your retargeting audience, of course. And secondly, you've got to make sure your website is optimized and indexed. You must use negative keywords as you would any other campaign. And finally, you need to target an already high converting landing page. So don't get lazy and use your home page. Use your best product pages or service pages that you know are converting. Get those 4 elements right and you're on to a winner. Now, here's the game-changing tactic that I was talking about, and it's called link retargeting. If you're prevalent on social media, you're regularly sharing content, then this could dramatically increase your retargeting opportunities. If we take my Twitter account as a prime example, you will see that I attract over 9,000 link clicks each month, but this is primarily to other people's content. Only around 10% of my tweets are actually pointing to my own or my agency's content. That means that over 8,000 clicks a month go from my Twitter feed to other people's websites, and this traffic is essentially lost to me. Sure, I'm being helpful, and yes, people thank me for sharing useful material, but wouldn't it be even better if we could capitalize on this too? Well, there's a covert way of doing it without pop-ups or overlays or any other disruptive rubbish. It's completely stealth and the person has no idea you're doing it. So put aside your moral position for a minute. Business is business, and if someone shows an interest in a certain topic that is relevant to you, wouldn't it be powerful to be able to target that person? Well, now you can, and it's called link retargeting. Let me explain how it works. So you're already sharing articles from around the web, news pieces, industry trends, and other related content. The fact is that people shop around for stuff, but most businesses wouldn't dream of sharing other people's content, let alone their best content, such as guides and assets that signal a buying intent. But link retargeting enables you to use other people's very best content to build your retargeting lists, which, objectively speaking, is no bad thing. Now, let's say if someone is highly receptive to a competitor or industry website's guide, be it a PDF download, a book, a video, or even a blog or a podcast, then surely those people are ripe for seeing your messaging too. So to help visualize this, here's a couple of examples. Let's say you're an accountant. Imagine sending people to really useful resources from top accounting software companies such as FreeAgent, Xero, FreshBooks, and others. Xero, in particular, have nearly 5,000 registered accountants and bookkeepers in the UK alone. That's a lot of competition. So how do you stand out and get ahead of that lot? You know that people interested in accounting products are highly likely to be needing an accountant or of some description, right? So wouldn't you like to put your name in front of them? With link retargeting, you can start sharing their best content, such as their podcasts shown here, whilst capturing and building your audience. Now tell me that's not a whole raft of superlatives. Or here's another example that I've found. Perhaps you're an online retailer selling push bikes. Well, start sending people to bike reviews on Cycling Weekly and Bike Radar, or to buying guides for certain types of bikes at different price points that you stock and sell, of course. Here's an example in the wild of Rutland Cycles doing just that, a tweet to a review site. The fact is, though, they sell the bike, but they're sending people away to a review website where there are probably links and adverts to other competitors. So they're missing out on a trick of retargeting through link retargeting. So imagine knowing these specific details about someone else's audience that aren't going to your website, their buying intent, their product specific interest, and the price point that they're shopping at. And more importantly, being able to retarget them with the exact product fit to their content consumption and buying interests today, right now. Am I getting my point across? This is super potent. So, like I said, this is a game changer, and it's a tactic flying under the radar that the vast majority of people have never heard of. We've actually been so enamored by this that we've built our own custom platform to handle this, and we're building highly targeted lists at quite a rate. But that doesn't help you because I can't give you access to our in-house proprietary platform. Thankfully, there's a tool out there that allows you to place your retargeting code, your tracking code, in between clicks from one of your social shares to the destination website. It's a seamless experience and the user doesn't get interrupted. So like I say, it's totally covert and seamless. The tool is actually called Click Meter. I don't think its full intention is for link retargeting, but it allows you to do so. So head to the link, grab yourself a 30-day free trial and test it out for yourself. I think it's something like $29 a month thereafter. But quite frankly, if you use it correctly, it should easily pay for itself many times over. Now, before you run off and implement these 4 things, here's an important bonus about how to get the very most out of your retargeting strategies. And it's called clearing pixels or burning your pixels. So have you ever made a purchase online only to find that you're still being inundated with advertisements from that company. If that's happening, the company in question clearly hasn't recognised you as a current customer. So by continuing to serve ads to converted customers, companies are only serving to annoy people or arguably waste their ad budget. So in a multi-device world, it means that cookies don't get cleared and your ads still follow people around. There are ways around this. It's to burn your pixel. So essentially you exclude people from your list who have visited your key pages, so your checkout page, your thank you page after an inquiry, and so on. Now, I understand that you might not have those pages in place, so you could send a follow-up email that clicks through to a certain page on your website that, again, you can burn your pixel by saying if they visited this specific page, remove them. You can do so by also using frequency capping, so to avoid peeing people off, you can actually limit the amount of times your ads are shown in a day. Now, some people argue against frequency capping. They say that the more the merrier. Keep showing your ads to people until they're blue in the face. I don't quite get that or understand it, and we've got a lot of data to prove that actually less can be more. And just, exclude audiences that have done certain things. So they may have visited X number of times, or for, certain areas of the website that aren't appropriate to your retargeting. Could be something like a careers page, for example, that isn't obviously a buying intent page. There's also one for people who, make a phone call. So if you have a customer inquire or make a purchase over the phone, then to get them burn their pixel, send them a link to a customer service page or a support page or a feedback page, or even a thanks for becoming a customer, here's a competition for our new customers. So that people visiting that page, because it's hidden, are customers and you can exclude them. Now, admittedly, it's hard to have a 100% perfect cookie burning policy, but at least try to do it. Excluding certain segments of your audience is just as important as including others. And that's it. Your 4 pretty awesome retargeting tactics to get you ahead in 2017. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for your time.